All right, last time we went with the Google AI Studio to Vibecode and ideate. And today I want to talk about how to choose, or like why I chose Antigravity as a proper coding tool, and then how I did the initial app build and why I think it's worth it from the beginning to actually work with a proper coding IDE and not just within the Vibe coding tool that you may have been ideating and prototyping in. My name is Andreas and welcome back to Prompt and Purpose. This is episode, I think, number 3 by now, where I talk about my Vibe coding journey as a documentation. All right, cool. So the big question I had after this whole prototyping fluff and what I did was sort of, how can I choose a system that is sort of scalable? You know, something that is a bit better, more professional than just the Vibe coding, you know, the Google Cloud AI Studio, and something that I also have enough, you know, customization possibilities down the line so I could add and expand on it, you know, have custom trained models in it. I could also ask a developer to work with me in here and they would not be completely desperate because I just have like some Vibe coding mini, whatever the hell it is. So I needed a proper IDE. So I know from back in the day when I started to learn a little bit of Python, I used PyCharm, which I think is really cool. And I used Replit's own one. And I knew I needed something. And because I decided on the Google stack, it was sort of like, you know, obvious to choose also the Google tool. And the one from Google is called Antigravity. And I want to, you know, quickly talk about that one. If you already know it, you can just skip forward or see you in the next episode, of course. So Antigravity is just a regular good old coding tool like many others out there. So on the left side here, you have all your editors, you know, everything that is open. The first time you build it, you then see all the folder structures that you have, like, you know, the things that you built. I see here the second one is the source control. So everything that is being built gets committed. I chose GitHub. One of the things, it's directly linked. So whenever I can commit something, it goes directly to GitHub and then gets posted online because I'm a solo and YOLO person and not a proper developer, so I never do branches. Everything goes to main and then damage control afterwards, which is the proper way to do, I think. If I want to work with other developers, you know, then I could do branches there as well, and I think you just have a lot more control here that way. There's also a lot of extensions and tools that you could add, like from container stuff with debuggers, a lot of security tools as well, testing, like there's a lot of stuff you can do. Of course, you also have your own the terminal, everything in here, but I do mostly via prompting anyway, so I don't really need that much. What is cool, top right, we have not only the AI or the agent browser. So the agent browser is the innate browser where the AI has full access to it. So I can let it run tests and then go onto the local testing and just like see it for itself, do screenshots and then fix the stuff right away while it's at it, which was quite cool for debugging a few things in local. And I really like that because you can just give it access. Another thing is here via the settings, you have a lot of options to customize everything. I will talk about the customization later. But you also see your models, you know, like the token quota that you have, the plan, and your workspaces where you can also add the different instructions for the AI, which also I did not know at the beginning, which is a massive pain. I know now, and I will talk about that now in another time, how to set it up and how important this, because I could have saved a lot of time. What you do have when you build something, it always shows you the files that you changed if you want, and you can just accept all or go through them. I propose go through this stuff, look at everything, and start to understand what you actually build and how it is built. I had to refactor more than once. I was kind of happy to know sort of like where the folders are, why it's built that way, and it made it a lot easier to sort of understand when there were obvious things that are not logical or completely wrong. Like it would write it in one prompt and the next time it would just like completely delete everything again. And I see it and I'm like, why the hell would you do that? And then, oh yeah, that is a good spot. That's a mistake. I just wanted to delete everything. AI. I like with Antigravity that you have different models as well, like your Claude Sonnet and Opus for 6 at the moment. It started with a bit less. In January, I think it was 4.5 or 4.4. And all the Gemini. And they have different strength. For most of the stuff, it's enough to use a Flash or something. But for the more complex stuff, you need Opus. But it just burns through tokens very fast, especially if you don't give it like some restrictions and it just like can go by itself and everything is like authorized. I don't give it access to everything. I hate that. I do not want it to have full access to my computer. It has a very sandboxy style access to the files where it works in, the browser that it uses, and I do a lot of manual steps in it. To one point because I want to learn it, and the other one is like I don't want the AI to have the access and just delete my whole fucking computer. That's I don't want that. So that's that. And yeah, so once you decided on your workspace and what you want to work with, the next thing is then you actually have to start this first proper build. So for me, like as I said last time, I did some iterations with vibe coding. So I prototyped, I prompted the entire prototype again. And I think I did that twice or so and like really just built out some functions. And at the end, I asked it to analyze the whole app and write a prompt to build this specific app. So like sort of a master prompt in my understanding. I'm not quite sure if that is a good approach by now. I don't think I would do that again because I do now know a lot more about, just structure, like, how we could have done the architecture differently from the beginning so I don't have to refactor everything. And all right, so my initial prompt was a bit like that. It's not too big, I know, but bear with me. So I had like the whole, what does the app do? Every function was in there, like how it should be done, like the core checks. And as you can see, there's still like the emojis in there. I have no idea what AI is in emojis. It's just, it pains my heart. Also how it should do the payments or what I want to do, how the things should be created, like, sort of the pricing strategy, which was completely unnecessary because I did change everything afterwards anyway, and I had to really think through it step by step. So just everything I did was in here, like what does do what, how should the things be done, and I went back and forth with my AI tutor. So I used another Gemini, just a normal private one, where I asked the questions like, hey, is that a good idea? Can you explain me the code in this? And I used this sort of as a coding tutor. And I basically built all of this with the tutor, like how should this be? And then I fed this entire massive prompt into Antigravity. And Antigravity did then the full initial build. And then you get like, all the backend stuff and all stuff. And from there on, you start to actually build the thing. So you have to start a local test, which I also did not know how to look at it locally. I just went through it and started building it. If I were to do it again, I would not do it with a master prompt, definitely not. I will talk about that, I think, another time a bit more. But one of the things that I sort of learned along the way is like usually you should write the test first and then build the app around it that fulfills that test from the logic, like more or less, or simplified. And the reason is, if you expand a module and it does not pass the test, then something is fundamentally broken. So you just write it as lean as possible so it fulfills the test that it should do. And that's something I should have done from the beginning way more. So just start a bit more overall, also with screenshots, with drawings, like what it should look like, just a hollow UI. And then, okay, to do this, what tests do we need to pass? What should it do? We write the tests and then we start building the thing and then we run the tests. It's like, hey, it does do that, so it's good enough. And I think this would have been a lot faster than my approach. But anyway, ultimately, I still use Antigravity. I really like it. I think it's an amazing tool. It makes a lot of, I think developers would have different opinions maybe. But it's quite cool. So if you choose one, I can highly recommend Antigravity. I think it does everything that you need. And Yeah, so next time I think we talk about, sort of the trap I fell into with having too many agents available, because I started to build myself into a massive trap, and I lost a lot of time there. So thanks a ton for watching. My name is Andreas, and see you next time.